so delighted and happy to be here. Thank you. Well, it's been a part of my life for quite a few years, coming to Eritrea, visiting villages, having friends, and learning about people's lives in Eritrea and the artists, and learning during peace and during war and during peace again. So I have a great fondness for the people and for all they have experienced. Every year from 1994 to 22. So I think it was 8 years then, and now 2 more times, so 10 times. Each painting has a particular place and meaning and experience. So we have to sort of look one by one or whatever, but it comes from just sitting with the people or standing or looking and sketching. So first I sketch, first I get to know a little bit about who the person is or what the situation is. And then the painting gets created at home. So in Eritrea, I only sketch and listen and talk with people. In my studio at home, the work gets created. And I love the theme of the Kunama woman who was working on the land. And they were actually terracing the land to hold the water so when it rains, the crops would hold. And so there's planting, but meanwhile there's re-terracing, reshaping the land. And she works with a child on her back. And this is what people do in many parts of Africa, not just Eritrea. And there was something about that woman, that shape, the sun behind her, that seemed to speak of people that work the soil and depend on what they plant everywhere. So she speaks for women and men and people who work the land everywhere. Birds to me are a symbol of hope, very, very often, not always. Sometimes they're a protector. Sometimes they're your aspiration, your dreams. And sometimes it's just another side of the human being. We have the physical side and we have the spiritual or the mental side. So it becomes symbolic. My paintings are not really real. They're somewhat magical. They're somewhat about the inner experience as well as the external. I see it as a land of earth, a land of brown, a land of sand and water, but I also see the people and what they bring to it. So the color is partly their clothing, but partly their spirit. Well, first I did many paintings at first, and I called it Africa, From Eritrea with Love. And it was my paintings from Walkie Village, from Asmara, from Sanafe, and gradually a sense of what people do, what I enjoy seeing about the Eritrean people. So gradually it grew. So that series grew from 1994, a little bit later on, and then I had more to say. So the second series was Eritrea, Ethiopia, Dreams of Peace. So that was during the war years, and just wishing that the people on both sides of the border could make peace with each other, that it could happen. And especially it was through the mothers who were losing husbands, who were losing children. So they spoke for me. They've been to many colleges and university art museums, but some of the very prestigious ones, for example, is the Field Museum in Chicago, the Dallas Museum of Art, Penn State University, the Children's Museum in Washington, D.C., which had a huge display area, and many people from the Eritrean embassy came to that exhibit. So many places, like 20 or more. When I'm excited, I can't remember. But Hampton University, for example, Bennett College, North Carolina, the African American Atelier in North Carolina. So they've been in just a great variety of places, and each time I go and I share my story about my experiences in Eritrea, explain a little bit about the paintings and what I think of the people and the nation and what they have suffered, what they have been through, and the spirit of these people. So that's been important to me, and it's been a great joy to be invited to have the exhibits and to share my expression verbally as well as visually. Well, first, Africa, they know so little, many people in the United States. And they always ask, where is Eritrea? So there's a lot for Americans to learn. And then secondly, how I got there, what inspired me to come to Eritrea, the artists I went to interview, and just enjoyed so much that inspired my work, and the people that inspired my work. So there's a lot to share, and they're interested in learning. They are attracted first by the color and the shapes and the design, and then when they look more, they want to know the story, and that's my chance to share and to do a little bit of teaching. I only had the chance to really teach in 1995, and that was U.S. Embassy and Eritrean government-sponsored art workshop. So that was when I really did my main hands-on teaching, where we brought paper, pen and ink, and the work that the Eritreans produced was amazing. It was their stories of the past and the present, what they had suffered as fighters, what they had endured, and the hopes and dreams they had from what they sacrificed, but now the transition to peace. So the sketches they made were symbolic self-portraits, and it tried to show both sides of their humanness. And those sketches are wonderful. I still have copies of them at home. I relish them, and I was able to share them with my students at my university in Southern Oregon University. So it was a great way to make an exchange, to come here and teach and then to go back. And then I had the opportunity through both embassies again to come back again. And when I had created paintings of my work based on my own sketches, I could share them in small format. Small reproductions, and I could take them around the country and show them at schools, from Nakfa to Senafe to just all over. So I began to learn more about Eritrea, and it was such a pleasure to see them interested in me and my impressions of Eritrea. So they would ask questions, and it was a wonderful exchange. Well, I guess so, because the people have invited me to come back and are happy to have my work. They have invested in bringing my work here. I've donated, but it's not been easy for this government, so I'm extremely proud that the government and the artists, at least, think that the work contributes to the people, and I couldn't be a better situation for me. I have such pride in that. There isn't any one word because the people differ throughout the country with specifics in terms of cultural heritage, language, the shape of a house, the kind of colors of their clothing, where and how they worship. But I would say there was a tremendous unity in fighting for the independence of Eritrea, and it brought people together over 30 years like nothing else could. And what they shared in the field, the history of these 30 years of growing up in the field, sharing, becoming one to fight off a common enemy, that has made a very exceptional spirit in Eritrea. And I think this is what people still want to build upon.
Professor Betty Laduk is a retired professor from Southern Oregon University. She's an artist and a scholar. She taught for 32 years at Southern Oregon University. She was born in 1933 in the US. She has traveled the world and done a lot of artwork. So her artwork, as you can see, is very different, very vibrant, colorful, and has a lot of spiritual meaning and so forth.
Oh, it's a joyous painting because it's universal. Kids jumping rope, and this was after the war, after the border war. And it was just wonderful to see that and just to feel like it could be my daughter, it could be anybody's daughters, and it's a happy time. So Eritreans, I think, will enjoy this painting. Very often in the village of Wauke, we're invited to have tea. I go with my friend Gabriel Christos, who has a little house in Wauke. He is a former educator and teacher. And people tell their stories. She was saying she had 7 boys, 7 children, but 3 were martyrs. So everywhere people describe their suffering, and still they go on. I was so surprised that women can be very assertive, can have their own way of celebrating, and they come together and the men do their thing during a wedding, but the women have fun too. And I just enjoyed seeing them, and it was fun. So this is one of the paintings as well as one of the panels.
You had presented the gallery also at the 30 years anniversary of the National Union of Eritrean Women in Oregon, was it? Yeah. How did the women feel when?
I was in Oakland, California.
Yeah.
I did the PowerPoint, we say, Africa from Eritrea with Love, and I also show the work of the students, how I first came there to interview Elsa Jacob and Terhas Yasu, and then to teach, and then all the wonderful artists, men and women. This was 4 years after independence, and the work they produced was wonderful and inspired me, and they wished that I could come back, so I did, and I kept coming back. It was wonderful to make friends, and for them to share their villages, because many are from villages, so we could go and visit, and also there were some wonderful people from the Peace Corps that were living here then, Wayne and Lori Kessler, and they too loved Eritrea, and with them I could travel with Gabriel Christos and the artists, always the artists. So it was just a great opening for me of the human spirit and how it could transcend oceans and borders and just enjoy each other as people. Oh, and the food, and the land, and the chickens, and everything.
I'm sure you must have had very good feedback within the last 2 days since its opening. Did the feedback that you've received inspire you to work more on
When I get home, when I go home? Oh yes, and I brought my sketchbook with me, so I am making more sketches, and who knows, I'm sure I will always continue making paintings, but this experience is extraordinary for me. There are not too many artists in this world that are having the honor that I have right now. It's not about money, but it's about a spiritual connection with people and the work serving their future, and certainly it's been my life. People love this painting. I know they wanted to take many photographs with this painting, which I call Sorrow, which are the mothers, the women sitting at any of the churches, St. Mary's or any of the churches, but also dealing with what they've suffered and what their hopes are.